Welcome back to the channel, everybody. Let's get after it.
I'm fully convinced we're stealing all of our tech from ancient temples. I know what you're thinking. That's just one example. No, it's not. That's a different temple, different ceiling. Okay, turbines are really complex. They got a lot of moving parts. Yeah, and they put those in there too. They're on the pillars. Speaking of pillars, you ever seen these? These are ionic pillars. Ionic pillars. I caught you. I'm onto you. I got you. Okay. Parabolic antenna. It's a fancy word for satellite TV dish. Egypt. Yeah, y'all have been to Karnak, I know. But have you been to the Osirian? Because from the top down, it looks a whole lot like a really basic computer processor. Probably just took a quick drive over to Promenade and upgraded the hardware, huh? Where are you gonna plug that in? Ancient city in China? Right there, maybe? Feeling a little bit more Middle Eastern, maybe Persepolis? High frequency oscillator. You mean Angkor Wat? Yeah, cat's out of the bag, buddy. Micro resonator. You mean Tamil Temple? I didn't forget about the circuit diagram. Yeah, you didn't reverse engineer an acoustic masterpiece. Plasma confinement. Well, that's a quick little upgrade if you just go to Dendera. Then you got a cathode ray tube, old tube TV. Quantum computer. I need to see the sky miles, especially from the guys at CERN. Y'all think you're just so smart. I'm on to you.
It's absolutely fascinating how this stuff looks so similar to our current technology. I don't think this is an example of us using ancient structures as a basis for our tech, though. I think a lot of those ancient structures are representations of specific frequencies, and they just happen to share a similar appearance. I try to not just see things as just a coincidence and actually look to see if there's a small connection between points like this, but I'm just not seeing enough evidence here to make this one even seem likely to me.
Okay, so,
What do you mean I can't have any alcohol?
okay, well, I'll tell you. Okay, the time's 20 to 3, 14:40. I'm arresting you on suspicion of improper use of the electronic communications network.
What?
127 Communications Act, okay? So you do not have to say it. That may harm your defence if you don't mention one question subject to later on in court. Anything you do say may be given evidence. Do you understand that?
So I'm actually being
You're
arrested?
going to be arrested, okay?
Right,
So you
and-
got to the police station.
Right.
Okay, this is in relation to some comments that you've made on a Facebook page. Okay?
Oh, really? Oh, it's a Facebook crime, is it?
Okay.
Right.
So we need to ask you some questions about that.
Right.
Have you got anything in your pockets?
I got my keys. I got... No, it's made it, I think. Keys.
So, anyone who's been arrested, we can search them under Section 32 and basically the flat.
Right.
That's a dangerous item.
Hey,
Evidence.
you said I was going to be arrested under some what information? I'm going to be
We've had
arrested for
reports that
posting on
you've made
Facebook.
some comments that are offensive, obscene, and people have made a complaint about that, and it's
And can you tell me what this comment was?
Would you
Okay,
like
well,
to
we'll
do
do
an
that when we interview.
All right. And so,
Okay.
what am I going to be locked up for the night, or?
Hopefully not.
Hopefully not.
Right, do I need to
Unless
take my
you bill
medications
us.
with me?
Yes, we will look at taking all of those.
When do you need to take them?
Well, I've got pain medications, I've got sleeping medication, I've got anxiety medications, which I might take one of those in a bit, you know?
Well, if we take everything with us, then you've got everything there, haven't you?
And then
Okay.
we've got a nurse up there. They'll be able to.
Okay.
They'll be able to come and see you, and then once you've been there, they can assess whether or not medication can be issued. All right. So what we're going to do is, you want to pop yourself up. We're just going
Alright.
to
You
search.
need the glasses
Search you.
to come with you.
My glasses?
Yeah. Do you want to
Why?
take them with you?
Why?
First of all,
Well-
I'm going to seize this, okay, as evidence.
Well,
So it's
They are arresting this guy for improper use of the electronics communication network, or in other words, he hurt someone's feelings on Facebook, so he's being carted off to jail. I know I keep putting a lot of content in here that focuses on what's going on in the UK right now. I'm just constantly mind blown at the sheer level of stupidity when it comes to the logic these British lawmakers are using to enact these new laws. And this stuff scares the hell out of me. That's a first world country being ran dangerously close to how North Korea's ran. It's just breaking my heart seeing British citizens being subjected to this. I just wish there was something I could do to help. So if they can't talk about it on their platforms, I'll keep spreading the word on mine. Hey, if you're enjoying this video and you like this kind of content, I post a new one just like it every day, Monday through Friday at 3 p.m. It'd be awesome if you'd hit that subscribe button and come back tomorrow to join me. Also, don't forget to check out the new episode of the podcast. The link is in the description.
New Yorkers say they're shocked after seeing Muslim patrol cars roaming their neighborhoods like police squads. These Muslim community patrols just began operating in Brooklyn this year, and according to the Council on American Islamic Relations, they are the first of their kind in the United States.
You know, I kind of wanted to believe that this was just some sort of joke, April Fools! That it was an Onion News Network article, perhaps Babylon Bee. But then I went ahead and typed MCP into the search engine. Yeah, and then this popped up, Muslim Community Patrol and Services, a non-profit organization in Brooklyn, New York. Oh, there's the address and the phone number, should you have some concerns and questions about why there's a Muslim Community Patrol in the United States. Also, perhaps you could ask why this car, right there, those cars, look a lot like that car. Kind of comes off as impersonating a police officer, doesn't it? Yeah, there's already been reports about this MCP or Muslim Community Patrol harassing people for drinking alcohol in a Muslim area, for wearing revealing clothing in a Muslim area, and other things that are against Sharia law. They even referred to themselves as a community patrol on steroids. They're operating under the guise of preventing terror attacks against Muslims. Hello, New York, hi, you guys awake? You up from your nap? I think you should have questions now. Perhaps you should call your local legislators, your city council, your mayor, sheriff's department, governor, senator. Call somebody and ask them why it's being allowed for the Muslims to patrol their own communities in cars that look strikingly similar to NYPD cars, and ask them why this is being allowed to happen, why they're allowed to harass people that are not obeying Sharia law in certain districts in Brooklyn, New York, and the United States, huh? This is a problem, and it needs to get addressed yesterday. Okay? Call people, please. Even call them. Ask them why they're doing this. But what you can't do is just sit back and allow Muslims to police Brooklyn, New York.
I'm going to try to be very specific with why I have a problem with this. It's not because I hate Muslims or the Muslim faith. I don't agree with it, but everyone has the right to follow the religious path they choose. My problem is with the phrase Muslim area. This is the United States. We have rights and freedoms here that are protected under the Constitution that would be directly opposed by the Muslim community. I don't have a problem with people of different backgrounds immigrating to the United States, but those people need to be willing to integrate into our culture, not bring their own culture with them and try to convert us into their way of life. That's just not how it works. If I move to a foreign country, I would totally expect that it's in my best interest to assimilate into their culture. Otherwise, I'm not going to be very welcome amongst the locals. This is just common sense, and we aren't interested in your Sharia law over here. If we were, we'd have those laws in place.
Joe Rogan has reportedly entered into a $30 million lawsuit against a massive mainstream news outlet after MSNBC purposely doctored footage from his podcast to make it sound like Joe Rogan was endorsing Kamala Harris for president. First, we're going to show the full 2-minute clip of Joe Rogan and Michael Malice discussing Kamala Harris on his podcast, followed by the 60-second version edited and uploaded by MSNBC, broken down by Tulsi Gabbard.
The thing is, the gaslighting is what bothers me.
Well, it all bothers me. It all bothers me, the fragility of the human mind. So everybody forever was like, Kamala Harris is the worst vice president. She's the least popular vice president of all time. And then in a moment in time, all of a sudden she's our solution. She's our hero. Everybody's with her. All these social media posts about her. Try Googling a negative story on her. You won't find one.
So,
ta-da!
Okay, you've got me started, Officer Harris. They've been doing this live for years. So in 2019, our pal Tulsi absolutely nuked her in that second debate. And
Right.
if you looked at charts at the time, she's kind of, Officer Harris is like doing okay. First debate, she comes out, Joe Biden, you're a racist. The Democrats were looking for an alternative to Bernie Sanders that wasn't Biden. She starts going up in the polls, right? Second debate comes out. Tulsi, being a good Hawaiian, knows how to roast the pig. Just completely slams her. Not only that, she has no counterpunch. She goes on Anderson Cooper and she's like, well, I'm a top-tier candidate, so of course people are going to take shots at me. That's her answer. She immediately starts going down in the polls. It's that day. You can see it on the chart I have on my Twitter. All the articles at the time that did an autopsy on Kamala Harris's failed campaign didn't mention Tulsi once.
Yeah.
It was BBC, LA Times, Reuters, New Yorker. A guy from the Washington Post just did a piece looking back on her campaign, didn't mention Tulsi either. They completely pretend it didn't happen.
Well, it just shows you that what they're looking for is not what they say they're looking for.
Yes.
Because she is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit, so she got to see people blown up by the war. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. All those things you want.
But
and yet you don't want her.
Because she's not for war.
Yes. Well, she's also just not willing to play ball. There's a game that's being played. And if you're like, hey, you're not supposed to move the ball. Like, oh, look at this over here. Like, get out of here. You gotta up our game. It's not real democracy. It's controlled parties.
MSNBC was exposed today for yet another set of lies. They deceptively edited together this video of different Joe Rogan comments to make it appear that he was singing the praises of Kamala Harris.
She's gonna win.
No, she's not.
She can win. She is a strong woman. She is a person who served overseas twice. She in a medical unit. She was a congresswoman for 8 years.
Yeah.
She is a person of color. She's everything you want. She's gonna win.
No, she's not.
She can win. They just want no Trump, no matter what.
I think this is absolutely awesome. Almost everything the media feeds us is a lie, and they're legally allowed to tell us whatever they want, but they can't just deceptively edit someone else's video footage and release it out to the world. That's defamation. He's going to win this case. It'll be very easy to prove that them releasing that video could have hurt his viewership. We need more cases like this brought against these big media corporations so they'll finally stop with all this crap and start putting some integrity back into reporting.
How many refugees has Poland taken?
0.
And you're proud of that?
If you are asking me, if you are asking me about Muslims illegal immigration, none. Not even one will come to Poland. Not even one if it's illegal. We took over 2 million Ukrainians who are working, who are peaceful in Poland. We will not receive even one Muslim because this is what we promised.
But I asked not about illegal immigrants. I asked about refugees. And Jean-Claude Juncker, the Commission President, says that you're racist. You sound proud of the fact that you haven't taken any refugees.
Of course, because this is what our people expect from our government. That's number one. This is why our government was elected. But this is why Poland is so safe. This is the reason why we have not even one terrorist attack. Look at the streets in Poland, and we can be called populists, nationalists, racists. I don't care. I care about my family and about my country.
I love that his answer is simply, that's what we promised our people. And whether that woman wants to accept it or not, that's the only answer needed when a politician is asked why they're doing something. We promised the people we would handle it this way. I don't know a lot about Poland, but I have a massive amount of respect for their government if this is how they're running things over there. And that last statement, you can call me racist, I don't care. I care about my family and my country. That's the kind of talk you want to hear from your politicians.
In 1959, only a year into the atmosphere bombardment, 10 nations, including the United States, made Antarctica off-limits to any colonization. A treaty was put in place and to this day remains intact. Over 50 nations now have signed off on this treaty. Do you know any treaty that has lasted that long between all industrialized nations? Moreover, do you know any piece of real estate in the world that is owned by no one? You would think at the very least one of the large oil companies would use their huge financial resources to explore this region, and yet they don't even petition the idea. The short version of the discovery is this. By 1958, the military had discovered the very solid upper and outer edges of our world, and had to create a way to put up do not enter signs without looking obvious. It was tricky, but if there is one thing I have learned about the authority, it's that nothing is left to chance. Most of the work had already been done for them, so their job was primarily in the details. The sky part of the dome was much higher than commercial air traffic, so the only thing they had to worry about there was the space program, which is immediately militarized. The outer border had the natural benefit of not only an extensive ocean, but a scaling decrease in temperature
and a steady increase in iceberg frequency to discourage ships, all leading to a permanently frozen landmass that could not be used for any form of agriculture. This ocean and ice layout had worked well for thousands of years because the technology of the current civilization didn't evolve quickly. Sailors avoided cold weather seas whenever possible, and oxygen levels get low enough to harm people, even on high mountains. The brilliance of the design comes in the simple fact that human males are corrupted by power. Corruption so total, in fact, that they would rather hide the world itself rather than risk their power on it. You could theorize that kings and popes were told of the world a long time ago. Maybe an ancient scroll or book. Perhaps an interdimensional being told the tale of what the world looked like. But this was all but dismissed because even the most powerful leaders of the day couldn't reach the borders. And if they couldn't, what chance did the general public have? It's one thing to be told of the giant impenetrable dome, but it's a whole different animal when you finally stand right next to it. Then the tough decisions have to be made. Do we keep the secret? And how far are we willing to go to keep the status quo?
Of ice and snow, but apparently there are leaked photos that show us they're trying to cover up something big down there. Back in 1912, Captain Robert Scott led an expedition to the South Pole to map it out and take some pictures. This was 47 years before the Antarctic Treaty of 1959, which heavily restricted tourist travel to the majority of Antarctica. For your own safety, of course. Now, these were the photos released by National Geographic of the expedition. Just some family-friendly fun adventure, right? But apparently, that was just the tip. And if you know me, I do not like just the tip. Story goes, Robert Scott and his team went down there to map the South Pole, and these are the photos they took, which were hidden from the public and apparently recently got leaked. Ancient ruins, statues, and even what looked like pyramids of some long-lost civilization that they don't want anyone to know about. And the crazy part is, in March of 1912, just 2 months after these photos were taken, Robert and his whole team died on their journey back home due to starvation and extreme cold. And these photos got later recovered by some search party that found them. Now, doubters will tell you these photos are fake because Google told them, but even ancient maps painted Antarctica as green. And this map from 1512 even shows South America connecting to the Antarctic shoreline with incredible accuracy. Antarctica is twice the size of Australia and was thought to be ice-free as recently as 6,000 years ago. And we're supposed to believe ancient humans managed to find their way around every single continent in the world, even discovering the microscopic islands of the Pacific Ocean. And somehow they just fully skipped Antarctica even when it was a luscious green paradise. A lot of people argue these ancient ruins aren't real, and who knows, but you gotta keep an open mind, right? But what are confirmed real are these photos of what looks like a pyramid hidden under the snow in Antarctica. There are many photos that prove it exists, and even professors admit it. And obviously the Google debunkers will tell you, oh, it's a natural mountain formation formed through erosion, but I don't know what kind of looking ass mountains are cut this perfect. Even satellite footage confirms it, so I don't know, you think there's something down there, or are we the trippy ones?
I'm 100% convinced that there's something being kept from us in Antarctica. I don't think it has anything to do with flat Earth, though. If I had to guess, it would be that the advanced race of beings that inhabit these UFOs we keep seeing are based there. And while I don't like the idea of the flat Earth theory, I really like the theory of the quartered Earth that's proposed by 7 Club, as it so simply explains why the maps show Antarctica as a lush green landscape, and it would explain the issues that we're currently experiencing with global temperature changes as well as the movement of the poles. I think the most fascinating part of the whole Antarctic Treaty is just how well it worked. There are still people to this day who will leave comments on my videos arguing with me that they will let anyone who wants to into Antarctica to explore is just too dangerous. People are still believing the lies. That's a very successful psyop.
So the government pretty much just lied about the disappearance of Amelia Earhart, and they know what happened, and I found the evidence on their website. So the first thing to know is when you're looking at stuff like this and you see the CIA keeping track of newspaper clippings, there's hundreds of these, you're onto something, and they're keeping track of it for a reason. It might not be what you're thinking, but they're keeping track of it for a reason. Here's another one. So one thing to know is the CIA was not formed when this happened, but they do keep great records of this stuff, and they took over for the OSS, which was naval intelligence during World War I and World War II. Here's another one. They have literally hundreds of these. I've never seen them with so many newspaper clippings on one subject. There's hundreds. So your first obvious question is, where did she actually go? Well, I pulled this off of the Naval Intelligence website. I can link all this for you guys if you want to read it yourself. Has a problem in here, but this is decently concrete. So within a year of her disappearance, a 40-year-old man is walking down the beach and he finds a message in a bottle with human hair in it. And the message is talking about Amelia Earhart being in, or off the coast of Japan somewhere. Now, the message is not from Amelia herself, but another prisoner aboard a boat called the Nile Atoll, and it says right here with exact wording, "I've been a prisoner in the Marshall Islands by the Japanese. In the prison, I've seen Amelia Earhart, aviatrix, and another cell, her mechanic Fred, her navigator, the guy that navigated, did all the maps when she flew." It goes on to say that she was held on alleged espionage charges aboard the Nile Atoll, which is a boat that was in these islands. So far, the facts match up. So, the case officer for the Navy went to investigate. The Japanese people welcomed him with open arms. They were very nice. And he asked about the Nile Atoll. They then imprisoned him, arrested him for, charges of espionage, and started advanced interrogation techniques. They didn't find anything on him. After questioning him with these techniques for a few hours, they let him go. He's a little jarred. Dude came home. So something interesting too is I made a video on this on my old account, and this document is now missing the third page, which talks about confirmation of hair follicle DNA match. Two things to point out here is that's missing now, so that's a little bit fishy. Second important part is we did not have that technology back then. This got written in 38, so they either held out on DNA testing for a long time without telling us, or this is just random jargon. This came from the Navy. I can't really see it just being random words getting thrown around, but really interesting. So these are the islands that she was supposedly kept at, so she likely crashed somewhere nearby and was picked up by this boat, the Nile Atoll, where she was then held prisoner. Another thing worth noting too is when I was going through all of these, the first time I made this video, they were keeping really heavy track of the authors. They had the names underlined, all this kind of jargon there, but what's important is there was two main authors who were going after the disappearance of Amelia Earhart. The first one worked for the military before he was in the press. They didn't keep any track of him, to my knowledge, but the second guy was never part of the government. You'll find his name underlined, you'll find files on him if you look into it. They kept a really close eye on the dude, almost like they didn't want him to figure this out. Now, if that's not enough for you, I did even more digging, and I found this letter from Amelia Earhart to the president talking about her confidential plans for the world flight. People knew about this already. The world flight wasn't confidential. It's almost like she's talking about, I don't know, a confidential side part of this flight. Like, it's a great cover for her to take pictures of boats and whatnot while she's flying. It's right before the war. Down here, she just talks about, I need to get refueled right around I can't talk, but right down here, she's just asking if the Navy will refuel her so she can, keep flying. But boom, it's pretty concrete. I mean, the only holdback in this is the DNA testing part, which I don't think we're ever going to know, but there's something here. There's something to this. I love you guys all. Thank you.
That sounds pretty believable. I've heard a ton of theories on the Amelia Earhart case, but I've never heard one with evidence to back up the theory. If this is true, it sounds like she likely suffered a much worse fate than just crashing into the water and dying on impact. Being a Japanese prisoner at that time wouldn't have been much fun. They were pretty heavy into human rights violations back then when it came to interrogation techniques. The craziest part of this story, though, is the DNA sample and hair follicle testing stuff. The idea that they potentially had that technology back in 1938 is absolutely crazy.
Here's an experiment I want to tell you that absolutely proves that the Earth don't spin. It involves a helicopter. I made this experiment up myself. You take a helicopter, you can get up to 15,000 feet. You can sit there and hover. You can hover at 0 miles an hour, literally not go an inch north, south, east, or west. So you hover this helicopter for 4-5 hours, 20,000 feet. Did you know that you can come right back down where you took off? Now think about the implications of that. That tells you that ground ain't moving. Now, a lot of people are going to say, the helicopter has inertia. Well, here's what I've got to tell you. If you ever run on a track, if me and you are equally fast and I run on the inside and you run on the outside of the track, who wins that race? You. So what I'm telling you is when that helicopter goes up to 20,000 feet and it's sitting there hovering for 4 hours, not only does it have to spin 1,000 miles an hour, it has to spin more than 1,000 miles an hour to go back to the same spot that it landed. Because now the Earth would be not attached to that helicopter, and it has to cover more distance to land in the same spot.
Again, A flat earther hits me with some evidence that I can't just explain away. I imagine that the answer to this one would have something to do with the atmosphere of the planet assisting the helicopter in staying in place due to being attached to the Earth in a sense, but I don't know that that would explain how the helicopter is speeding faster than the Earth in order to maintain its altitude over a single location on the ground. It just doesn't make any sense. This one has broken my brain a little bit. I'm going to be stuck on this for a few days. Can someone please explain this to me down in the comments?
Nobody has the right to live their lives being protected from offence or from insult or from hurt feelings. It is an occupational hazard of living in society. And if you really can't take it, become a hermit. But more seriously, on the opposite end from the snowflakes, poor little darlings, on the opposite end from them are the totalitarians. Now, I would love to stand in this union and oppose and argue with and take to pieces a Holocaust denier. But if we say no, we can never have the Holocaust denier because his views are so offensive that he cannot be accorded a platform. Then what happens? That sort of viewpoint is driven underground where it can quite often flourish. And people whisper behind their hands, oh, you know, there's something in what he says, but we're not allowed to hear it. Let's hear it. And by hearing it, we can destroy it. We should also remember it is absolutely right that we should allow people, no matter how profoundly we disagree with them. I hate to utter cliches in this august debating hall, but I am going to utter one. That no matter how much we may disagree with somebody, we should defend to the hilt their right to say it. And that is something that I have believed all my life. And just remember this, you may feel virtuous today in what you will not hear, but tomorrow somebody may feel virtuous in not hearing what you have to say. Free speech is for all, not for the privileged few.
And if that speech were given in the UK today, they would likely cart that woman off to jail for hurting someone's feelings. I just thought this was so well said and shows the danger of stomping out speech that you don't like. I just feel like all of what the UK is going through right now could have been easily avoided had they just listened to this lady. Common sense should always win, but anyone with common sense is being silenced right now. Before long, the only voices you're going to hear are the voices of the oppressors. I think this is going to start waking people up in other countries, though, because the British government can't stop us Americans from standing with the people in the UK and spreading awareness to their cause. But guys and gals, I'm going to go ahead and end the video right there. I hope you enjoyed these clips we watched together today. I'll be back tomorrow with another video. I hope you come back to join me. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and check out www.barry-stepp.com if you'd like to order yourself a shirt or a hat and help me support the channel. I greatly appreciate anyone who's ordered anything off of there so far. Thank you so much. And don't forget to post your photos of your merch over in the Discord to get your photo in a video. But with all that out of the way, I hope everyone has a great, safe, fantastic rest of your day, and I will see you all tomorrow.